G'day guys, Steve here from Dirt Bike ADV. Got the microphones on, it's raining outside. Friday night after work, just come out and put the thongs on and grabbed a beer and yeah, just was doing a bit of thinking and contemplating and thought about, might get the camera out and have a bit of a chat and see what my YouTube family think about this. So, looking to buy myself a twin. AJP's going nowhere, the 350's going nowhere. But it's one of my burning ambitions that I've had for a fair while over the last couple of years, or the last 3 years since I've been riding adventure bikes again. I've always thought it'd be nice to have a nice big twin where you sit up like royalty behind a big screen and you can purr along with little to no vibration and cruise on the open road for long periods of time. The AJP will do anything I want it to do, but it is a single and it is a flat seat bike. And it's more off-road orientated than touring orientated. So yeah, I've always had this burning ambition to have one of these nice twins, you know, and it's something I've been thinking about for the last 6 months. And as some of the bikes have come on the market, like the Desert X and the Aprilia Touareg and the Tenere T7, and now the Transalp 750, I've looked, oh, that's a good option. Oh, there's a good option. The BMW 900, there's a good option. So I've been sort of looking at them, and I come across a video by a guy named Motobob. And gee, he did a good little video. He did a wrap up of the 2024 best mid-size adventure bikes or something it was called. I'll put a photo up here and a link in the description. It was a really good little video. He did a great job. And he really got me thinking about it. And I thought, oh yeah, he's probably missed a couple of bikes that I'd consider. But of course, once you get into the bikes and you start looking at specs, it's pretty easy to delete a couple, so or delete more than a couple. So that's what this video is about. I'm just going to have a chat about what bikes I would consider and probably get down to my top two, and I'm going to hopefully ask my YouTube family what their thoughts are on this. So one of the reasons for wanting to buy this bike is I want to do a video called Unfinished Business. And it was in 1988, I bought that 86 model Tenere. Itchy Boots is riding one now as a coincidence. And I bought it and rode up the whole east coast of Australia. Got an English backpacker on the back and rode the length of Queensland with her on the back. Good times, great fun. Ended up coming home for Christmas. I said to Mum I'd come home for Christmas. Flew home for Christmas, got a job just to catch up on the money a little bit. And ended up meeting my wife, got married, had kids, blah, blah, blah. We all know the story. So I want to finish that trip. So I got as far as Cairns, Cape Tribulation. So I want to basically ride the East Coast again on this bike, sort of reminisce on, I've got lots of photos and that, I'll drop in a lot of the photos, but beeline it to Cape Tribulation and continue the trip. So the idea was to do Cape York, across the Gulf, up through Darwin, and right down the west coast of Western Australia and back via the Great Australian Bight through South Australia to Victoria. The plan was to take a year, but I ended up spending the whole year getting up the east coast, mainly because I was partying quite hard and working quite hard, and so I didn't get as far as I wanted to. Good times, don't get me wrong, but anyway, I do want to finish that trip, so this bike is the bike I want to buy for that trip. In no rush at all, might be buying this bike next week, not even this year. I like to have an idea of what bike I would like to buy. And so as I keep an eye on the market, if there's special deals going on, the new price or run out models, or I see a good, really low kilometre one second hand, I can pick it up. So I pushed myself this last couple of weeks just to sit down and really go through some specs and decide which bike I'm actually going to be looking for next year. Probably see what happens with the next models maybe. There's a couple of bikes I'm interested in that there's some changes coming early next year, so we might wait till they come out and see if there's some improvements. But yeah, basically in no rush. So what bikes am I talking about? We're talking about the mid-sized adventure / touring bikes. I call them touring bikes. The AJP, the 690, is an adventure bike. The 350, the KTM 500, the 450 RL, the 300 Rally, they're a lightweight adventure bike. I call the AJPs and the 690s an adventure bike. and everything above 200 kilos I call a touring bike. Most people call them touring adventure bikes. I call them touring bikes. A bike you have to sort of, anything above 200 kilos, you really need to take someone with you in case you drop it. You have to unload it to pick it up. Did think about buying another Tenere 660. In fact, I kept some parts. I've got a spare tank and a screen and a couple other spare parts for it in case I wanted to buy another one for this particular trip, but decided I wanted to go for a twin. So, twin cylinder mid-size touring bikes. What's on the market? Let's go through them. Suzuki V-Strom 800DE, the Yamaha Tenere T7, the Honda Transalp XL 750 or whatever it's called, the Aprilia Touareg, the Triumph Tiger, you got the BMW 900, whatever they call that, the KTM 790/890, the Norden 901, a lot of bikes here, the Desert X, Ducati Desert X, and lastly, but probably not least, the CF Moto 800. Big choice of bikes, big choice of bikes. I've deliberately deleted the MT450. Power to weight ratio is not quite right for me. 450cc with a 196 kilo bike, yeah, no, really good bike, don't get me wrong, but not for me. I'm looking for a bit more power than that. And the other one is the NX or X500, the Honda X500, not enough off-road orientated for me. So what are the key criteria for these bikes, I hear you say? Weight is first and foremost for me. The lightest bike in this category is the Touareg, the Aprilia Touareg. The heaviest is the V-Strom 800. And you know, they're 204 kilos compared to 230 kilos. So that's a 20 litre drum of water. That's bloody heavy. You can't pick up a 20 litre drum. That's over a 20 litre drum of water, heavier. That the Suzuki V-Strom is than the Touareg. So it's got to be nice and light. The lighter the better. Decent fuel range, so decent sized tank, sort of 16, 18, 20 litres would be ideal. Probably closer to 20, the better, so to speak. 21-18 wheel combination would be ideal. 21-17 I'd probably accept, but certainly 21-18 would be my preferred option. The other thing probably is it's got to look good and sound good. There's a couple of bikes here that I'm just going to delete on looks alone. They just don't float my boat at all. So they've got to look good, sound good. So obviously the 270-270 crank engines have a real advantage there because they've got a lovely throaty sound. I hope you can hear me over the rain. So yeah, and apart from that, I'm pretty open. Some wind protection would be ideal, but again, you can usually do something with that aftermarket, not too difficult. So what bikes have we got? Okay, so I'm going to start with the bikes that are very easy for me to delete and the reason I'm going to delete them. The Suzuki V-Strom, lovely bike, great fuel tank, pretty good ground clearance and suspension, looks good, really nice bike, sounds good, but 230 kilos and priced right, $18,000, it's priced right as well, but 230 kilos, so it's right up there. It's, you know, you're up around the weight of a bloody BMW 1300, so nah, sorry guys, just too heavy for me. Other than that, really nice looking bike, really happy to buy it, and pretty priced, pretty competitive as well too. The next one is the Norden 901, and that's one of the bikes that just gets deleted on its looks alone, but it's also up around the 230 kilos as well. Good fuel range, good reasonable suspension. I don't need high spec suspension myself. Flat seat, really good setup, nice bike. It's up there in the dear end of the market, sort of pushing 24, 25,000. They're listed at 26,000 at the moment, but they'd be a bit cheaper. So yeah, but I just can't gel with the looks of them at all. Sorry. Yeah, and quite a tall bike as well. The KTM 790, 890. Again, this is probably one of the best bikes in this category, in my opinion, because of the tanks. They've wrapped the tanks around the engine, lowered the tanks, so really low centre of gravity. They spec up really good. I don't like the fact that you have to pay extra. They're already one of the dearer bikes in this category, but you have to pay extra for the full riding mode. So And I don't like the fact that, you know, there's so much technology put into these bikes. But I don't have an issue with buying from KTM. KTM will be fine. They're going through some financial difficulties. Worst case scenario is someone will have to buy in and cash them up a little bit. But they're too good a brand to go anywhere. They're going to be fine. There is a slight concern with their quality issues since they've sent their manufacturing to China and India. They don't seem to be on top of that with their cams and things like that. But again, I'd still buy the bike if I really like the bike, and just deal with it if I have problems. Certainly it's not every bike they're having problems with. So yeah, not concerned about buying from KTM per se. But the 790, 890, the whole praying mantis headlight, if I bought one, I would probably put a Rade tower on it. And they're already one of the dearer bikes in the market, so it's the next one to go. So yeah, the Triumph Tiger is pretty easy to get rid of. It's only got the 19-17-inch wheel combination, quite a heavy bike. Don't like the look of them at all. CF Moto is very similar to CF Moto 800. Again, 19-17 wheel combination. Nah, sorry guys, that's not for me. Listen, for a touring bike, it's probably fine, but you know, again, the bigger the wheels, the more comfortable the ride. When you're on corrugated roads, those bigger wheels sail across a bit better. They're not dropping into the corrugations as much. So give me the 2118s any day. Again, a little bit dearer bike. The next one is the Desert X. Really good bike. They've put a lot of effort into this bike. A really nice looking bike. There's no doubt about it. But a fairly dear bike, and from memory, quite a heavy bike, 225 kilos and about $24,000. So again, one of the dearer bikes on the market, but fairly tall bike as well, so pretty high centre of gravity when you look at the bike. But a lovely looking bike, and they've done a really good job with that bike. They've really thought that one through. So yeah, but unfortunately for me, it's in that heavier end of the scale, and yeah, and in that dearer end of the scale. So yeah, it's gone from the list. So that basically leaves us with 4 bikes. So we're down to the Tenere 700, the Honda Transalp, the Aprilia Touareg, and the BMW 900. All of those bikes I would gladly buy, basically. They're not that dear. BMW a little bit dearer, and the Aprilia Touareg a little bit dearer, but again, within my price bracket, I can justify it, you know, and not super heavy, and probably, you know, and nothing stands out as being a deal breaker in those 4 bikes. But out of those 4, I want to whittle it down to 2. I'm going to whittle the Touareg first. It's the lightest bike in the category, 204 kilos. The Tenere's 206. The Transalp's 208, and I think the BMW is 219. But starting with the Touareg, it's really hard to go past this bike because they've put a lot of effort into this bike. 660 twin, 204 kilos, decent tank, decent suspension. Probably there's 2 concerns for me. I don't know the Aprilia brand. I bought an AJP, don't get me wrong, but I don't know the Aprilia brand, and I would certainly want to test ride before I'd buy one. But certainly they are in the dearer end of the market again, and there's probably better bang for buck than them, and they've been taken to, quite frankly, with the ugly stick. They're not a pretty bike, and so I know it's pathetic. I'm being pathetic, but yeah, they're just not that pretty a bike, and yeah, apart from that, it's pretty hard to if they weren't in the dearer end of the market, I'd give them probably more consideration. The next one probably I would delete again for similar reasons. It's in the dearer end of the market at about $22,000, the BMW 900, and the other critical thing, it's only got a 14-litre tank. Now you can get the adventure spec model, whatever they are, the GSA or something they call them, can't remember, the adventure model, but they give you 23 litres of juice, but they jump up to 246 kilos. So the base model is for me 219 kilos. That's probably doable, but considering it's a bit heavier and it's a bit dearer, and I go, oh yeah, I can probably delete that one. When it comes to the Tenere and the Transalp, I struggle to delete one of these bikes compared to the other bike. There's one thing I will say, the Tenere is off-road orientated, the Transalp is touring orientated, so I could nearly just choose the bike out of these two bikes on which bike I want more. So the obvious choice is obviously, because I've got the AJP there, that I would go a touring bike. I'd go the Transalp. So that's probably where I'm leaning at the moment, but decision not made. Sentimentally, I want to go for the Tenere, particularly to complete this trip. I was on an 86 model Tenere. It'd be great to finish the trip on a 2020 model or a 2024 model Tenere, and keep that whole Yamaha Tenere thing going. So sentimentally, Tenere. Probably practical wise, the Transalp. When you look at the two bikes, they're fairly similar. 16 litres of juice in the Tenere, 17 litres of juice in the Transalp. A little bit lower centre of gravity with the Transalp compared to the Tenere. Ground clearance is fairly similar. A little bit more travel in the suspension on the Tenere. I probably prefer the looks of the Tenere, but certainly not by much. The Transalp is a very nice looking bike. Other than that, 2118 wheel combinations, similar fuel mileage, a little bit more horsepower with the Honda 750, but gee, they're pretty close. It's basically, I think, would come down to off-road orientated, touring orientated. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I haven't made the final decision. Certainly love the way the Tenere has been designed to put the power to the ground with the anti sort of squat system. How they've got the chain running around the engine mount, around the whole bloody drive sprocket, I suppose you'd call it. So yeah, the way the Tenere puts the power to the ground looks good. I have gone and sat on both bikes. If I buy new, I will just buy from the local dealer. Bought two new motorbikes in my life, and I've just bought them both from the local dealer. Didn't quibble price, just said, do us your best price, and that's the way I've gone with it, and been happy to trust them. Not a lot of margin in new bikes, so yeah. So and I encourage you to do the same. Just go to your local dealer, and I'm in business myself. I'm a builder, so I support local business and hope they do the same. So yeah, I've got two dealers in town, Honda dealer and a Yamaha dealer, which is really fantastic. They've both got new stock of these, of the Tenere and the Transalp. So I was able to go and sit on both bikes. Certainly you feel the lower centre of gravity with the Transalp, but apart from that, and they're very nice bikes. So anyway, guys, I was sort of hoping my YouTube family out there would have an opinion and might have first-hand experience on both bikes. As I say, the final decision is not made. It's down to those two. Yeah, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. As I keep banging on about, you know, I don't do the paid promotion thing. You don't have to bloody like, subscribe, do all that rubbish. I'm sitting here in your free time. You're sitting there watching videos in your free time like I do at night. I don't want to be hassled about different things. So, but yeah, just love to hear your thoughts, that's all. So yeah, love to hear what thoughts you have on any of the bikes I've deleted, but also too on the final two bikes, the Honda Tenere, the Honda Transalp and the Tenere. So yeah, so there you go. But anyway, I'm going to continue to enjoy a beer. I'll probably tidy up a little bit out here, and we'll go inside and see what the lovely wife has organised for tea. But other than that, I'm enjoying a little bit of downtime for a Friday night, and yeah, we'll think about those twins. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll hope to see you out in the trail soon.